got my cup of peppermint tea. Feel free to pour one for yourself and join me. Be cozy. We're nearing the end of this nearly 6-month long period in the UK, and I have been absent from this space for some time and have been trying to edit a vlog, including footage of the past couple of months that I haven't shared, and I'm having a lot of difficulty figuring out, I'm just having difficulty doing that, so I figured this would be a good moment to sit down and reflect on the past few months and what's happened and what I've learned and what this means for me going forward, the endings to stories that occurred and the new threads that are making themselves known. So grab your cuppa, get cozy, let's have a chat. So where am I? I guess that's a good place to start. I am in Reading, England. I've been in Reading now since late September, attending uni as an international exchange student for 1 term. It's been really interesting to get to experience an academic system in the UK and compare it to university in the States as my only other university experience. Yeah, I guess I'll just chat a little bit about kind of my academic situation and what I'm studying, etc. So I have basically already finished my bachelor's. I haven't graduated yet. I was able to apply to study abroad and have that, well, I'm on international exchange, which is a bit different to study abroad. It's pretty much exactly the same experience, but a cheaper program. And I have been really lucky at uni to be receiving a need-based scholarship that covers all of my tuition costs and living expenses for the past couple of years, since 2020. And because I was a transfer student, so I attended community college first for a couple of years and then applied, got accepted and transferred to a university in the same town. I wasn't receiving that scholarship from the time that I would have been a freshman, because I didn't start university as a freshman. I started it as a junior, I think. So that would be, here in the UK there's only 3 years of undergrad. In the States there are 4 years of undergrad, so it would have been year 3 in the States, which I guess, I don't know exactly what that would equate to here, but because I started in year 3 at uni, I still qualified to receive 4 years of that scholarship. So technically I could continue being a student and receiving funding for longer than it would take me to complete my degree. I am not going to do that. I think that doing so would be a waste of my time and a waste of resources for other students from low-income economic backgrounds who could be benefiting from that money when I don't, like, this isn't where I want to be in my life right now. So I'm not going to do that, but I did decide to do one extra semester because it was a way to live in another country and have an income. So that's why I've been at uni here. And I unfortunately have not had a great time on account of falling into a really bad depression. And a lot has come out of that depression for me that I think needed to come out. I might share a bit about those things, but before doing that, I'll say that I am in a bit of a better place now mentally. Luckily, my little sister is coming to visit me. Yeah, I think one of the big things that I've been struggling with as a short-term immigrant has been losing relationships with people back home that I thought would last a long time, and not having a say myself in those relationships ending, but the people that they were with just deciding that they weren't going to continue putting energy into maintaining communication with me, and just stopped talking to me altogether, stopped answering phone calls, stopped replying to texts I haven't heard from. Yeah, basically just ghosting me. That happened with multiple people that, you know, I thought were close friends. Feeling a bit emotional just talking about it. It's been really painful. I think that ghosting people can be a really healthy thing, which is not, it's probably a very unpopular opinion. There have been instances in my life where it's been really necessary to cut contact with certain people because of toxic behaviors. Usually that's been family members, but occasionally that's been friendships, and it can be really hard to communicate when you have a need for taking space and distance from a person. But I do try to communicate. I would say that I'm getting better at communicating, hey, this isn't healthy for me anymore. I need to take space. I don't know how long I'm gonna need to take space. But just like to communicate about what I'm doing so as to not leave the other person in the dark and wondering what they did, because maybe they didn't do anything. Maybe it's just about me. And yeah, so in the instances in which I've been ghosted this year, there has not been any communication of what I've done wrong, and I guess I am in this place in life where I'm very confused about my own actions and about my own identity. And so it's very difficult. I usually overthink and overanalyze everything that I say or do, hopefully before I say or do it, in order to prevent making any kind of mistake or causing any kind of offense. Yeah, I would say that that's mainly been how I've handled social situations for a while now. Trying to mitigate pain as much as possible for myself and others. And I'm not always good at that, but at this point in my life, I'm really struggling to control myself in that way. I think I don't have the energy to do that anymore. And that means that I'm saying and doing things and watching myself say and do them and just being flabbergasted at myself, and feeling out of control, basically. And I am really struggling at this point I'm struggling to be in control of my own behavior. I'm struggling to understand my own behavior, and I'm really struggling to anticipate and understand and see when I've done something that is offensive to someone else. And yeah, so I guess I don't know why that is. But I think at a point where I need to be told if I've done something, what I've done, because it's not my intention to cause offense, and I feel like I have no control over whether or not I do, and I'm unable to identify if I have. So that's one of the things that's been challenging about losing friends lately, or having people just stop talking to me. Yeah, I feel like I'm kind of going off on a tangent here. So another big part of the depression has been needing to just isolating myself from everyone and everything. It's taken a lot for me emotionally to put energy into talking to people in person here at school, and into trying to establish friendships and to engage in in-person interactions that will be repeated. I can't do it. So I've been alone a lot. And I've been alone a lot up until now, but it's different being alone in a room than it is being alone in the world. Because you're not really alone when you're out of doors. And I feel like everything I've been surrounding myself with the past few months has been death. Through inanimate objects, through random encounters that I've had with places of death, and with the evolution of a season of death in the natural world. and within myself, having to face death within myself. And I've done that in a very big way, and so I'll put a content warning up now, letting you know if you're going to continue listening. I think I'm going to talk about the suicidal ideation, and my relationship with that over the past few months. I guess leading up to that, coming to school, being alone in this room, finding myself completely incapable of establishing friendships and sustaining in-person interactions that would happen again and again and again. Yeah, I came face to face with the fact that I'd been running away from death. And I knew that I'd been preparing myself for my death for a long time now. And I'd come to a point where I knew I'd met people who were defying death, who were defying the death of the planet, who were defying the death of humanity, and were committing themselves very actively to life, to sustaining life, to creating life, to nourishing life. And I drew hope from these people. And held on to that hope. Before meeting them, I'd been preparing for my death for a long while. I've struggled with suicidal ideation. I've struggled with depression. I don't even know how long. I haven't been diagnosed with it, but I self-diagnosed myself as a young teenager. And it's been something that I've struggled with pretty much daily for almost as long as I can remember. I don't remember when I began to experience suicidal ideation, but it's been a really prevalent part of my existence now for years and years and years, and I have gotten really good at distracting myself in various ways and pouring my energy into various things and various people, in attaching meaning for my life to different activities. And that takes a lot of energy. And there have been a couple times in my adult years as a student where I have burnt out. Yeah, I see myself as a star, as a sun, burning and burning and burning. And keeping light going, and couple of times I've burnt out, and it's really, really difficult. I have never been able to reignite alone. The first time I really remember, well, yeah, I guess the first time I remember would have been before I ever left my family. And the second time I remember would have been towards the end of 2020. And now, last spring, I was just completely drained of energy. I didn't expect that to happen. I couldn't work anymore. I couldn't make myself. I just didn't have the energy to go to the farm anymore and to work in the cold, and for a long while I didn't have the energy to make music anymore with people or by myself. And things began to happen in the world that I sensed before they occurred, and because I sensed those things before they occurred, I felt responsible for them happening. And I fell in love and poured a lot of energy into that relationship and communicating around what I was experiencing and analyzing what I was feeling challenged by, and trying to protect her and myself, and I couldn't sustain it at a certain point, and it's foggy now. Everything that happened with me that made me know that death was close. It felt very close. I remember I couldn't walk anymore to and from campus easily. I couldn't do it. I could hardly walk anywhere easily. It was so hard. So hard. I've experienced difficulty walking in past years on account of my legs just failing and collapsing underneath me. This was a different type of difficulty walking. This was like an emotional and psychological difficulty, and where I would start walking home from class, and I just had to sit down next to a tree multiple times. Sit there for sometimes 15-20 minutes, just sitting with myself and trying to convince myself it was okay to walk home. And I couldn't walk normally. I had to dance home. Otherwise I wouldn't have made it. And I was so scared. I didn't understand what was going on. And I'll never forget my friend Paul. He hardly knew me, and then he would stop passing me in the street and ask if I was alright. Nobody else did that. And you know, I wasn't alright, but I didn't feel like I could actually tell anybody in my life about that. And I think that I've been pulling away from people emotionally for a lot longer than it looks like I have been. And let's just have a sip of coffee. Tea's starting to go cold. Anyways, everything kind of culminated in I don't know how much of this I want to share. I went home. I went to my childhood home, and I haven't been able to go home for a long time. And that's so hard. And it was really intense. And really fast. So fast. We were only there for a few days. Brief encounters with people from childhood, with places from childhood, with moments in the day, with the sun at that time of year, with the smells and the plants and the water in that moment, and how familiar it was to every atom inside of me, and how it took me so long for my body to realize it was actually there, because I'd been dreaming for so long of those places, actually dreaming. And then before you know it, we were back at school. I have this thing where I put pins in parts of my life and in people in my life that, according to a linear understanding of time, belong to a certain time in my life, but I don't do life that way. I don't experience life linearly. And for a long time I thought it was a choice. I'm learning it's not, but I'm learning that other people seem to, and it's difficult, it can be difficult for them to re-enter a relationship with me after a certain amount of time has gone by, whereas for me, it's just like taking the pin out, and there we are, right where we left off. And there's a pang of guilt that comes with having a conversation with someone who you love. I know in them, I know in their scent, I know in the tone of their voice, as if you'd heard it yesterday. And being reminded that it's been 4 years since you last talked to them. came home and I did not know what to do with myself, and I found myself curled up in a ball in a blanket that I'd taken years and years ago. That was likely a blanket that I'd known very early in my life, and I think needing to go home was a way of needing closure for my mind and for my body that I had been back, and that I could die peacefully knowing that I had been there. All this time there was a scream building up inside me. There's been a scream building up for years, and I've never felt safe to scream. I've never felt far enough away from anyone to scream. It's always felt that like something that needs to be hidden from other people, or only shown to a very trusted person who is capable of seeing me scream. And I haven't found that person, and I thought that I had. And when there's something inside of you that needs to happen and you don't give yourself space to let it happen, on the one hand you can be haunted by the thing, and on the other hand things begin to build up in different ways and try to get out in different ways, and you lose control and you don't know what's going on, and sometimes you need to lose control, but it can be a really scary thing. Anyway, I was losing control, and I was recognizing an authenticity in a lot of the relationships that I thought were true ones, and I couldn't keep myself alive there anymore. And I didn't say that to anybody, but that's the truth. I couldn't keep myself alive there anymore. I think that's how I was able to leave. And I don't know why I'm this person that needs extremes in order to act, but I do. I think I've always been that way. So I said goodbye to everyone, and I got rid of everything. And I finished all the coursework that was needed, and I had closure with that. And for 5 years, the knowing that I was to return here to England to live was going to happen, and there were some very scary realizations around that came about shortly before I was meant to leave, and those realizations have since reached closure. After 4 long years of torture, I finally have closure for things that I've just needed to be resolved for myself, and that I've had the blueprint relaying itself again and again and again through repetitive dreams for years. One of the things that I've come to see at this point is that there's no such thing as imagination. I used to believe in it, but I don't anymore. Anything you supposedly imagine is a potential future event. It could happen. And the things that happen are the things that we believe in. And the things that we believe in are the things that we put energy towards and keep alive. And we spend energy keeping things alive that have not yet come to be. But we make them. Every moment that you're alive is an act of creation. You are creating the next moment, and it's a collaborative action between you and everyone and everything that is connected to you and that you're connected with. And it's a collaboration between you and whatever it is that's pulling you forwards. And the future is not fixed. This is something else I've come to learn. And that no matter how close you get to seeing something as it might actually happen, there's no surety that it will the way that you've seen it. But it's possible to get very, very close. And it's necessary to reevaluate your knowings when they reach fulfillment, and to see what you misinterpreted, and to see what you correctly interpreted. And there have been many, many, many moments of knowings fulfilled differently than I thought they would be, but confirmatively of the leadings that I had. Since coming to the UK this year. This is becoming a very long video. I'm not sure that any of these ramblings are making sense to anyone or are really offering much insight or answer into questions about this dark period of the past few months in which I've been silent and inactive and alone with myself in many ways, and reconnecting with other lives in other ways, and with different parts of my past through those people in important ways. And it's a weird place to be, realizing I've had for years this overarching next in the back of my mind that I've been putting energy towards and feeding, and that it's happened now that I've come and I've lived here, and it's looked differently than I thought it would, as I knew that would be the case, and in a lot of ways it's been what I thought it would be. and that it's been the fulfillment of hopes for the future that lived only in my mind for such a long time, in relationships that existed only in that were sustained in a virtual way for such a long time, whether they'd occurred virtually to begin with or had been met in person years ago. And I came running from death, and I came running from ego towards a deeper authenticity with myself that I've experienced here in the past. A deeper authenticity in relationships that I've experienced here in the past. And a commitment to hope, and a commitment to future. And I found myself, well, I did find myself at various points not being able to see forward anymore. And I do now again. And it's taken a long time, and different things have happened, different moments, and different encounters, and different experiences in my body that I didn't expect. Protective experiences, strong protective experiences, and for weeks and weeks and weeks my body was rejecting life, and now has reopened itself to life. And I don't know what that will look like going forward, and I'm afraid. I'm very afraid. But I've also learned that fear is not a reason to not move forward and to not do something that you know you should, that you know you have to, and if you don't, a different future will come to be. It's been a deepening into being with parts of me, ways that I am that I've masked to others for years. Or I've convinced myself that I am masking, and realizing how much energy has gone into being someone that I'm not, showing up with people in ways that are not natural to me and that are quite harmful to me because they're inauthentic, because they sustain connections with people who are not actually connected to who I really am, and who are not actually interested in who I really am. And to have the courage to let go and to stop putting energy into showing up in those ways and in those relationships. and to follow the connections that are real and true and long-lasting. The connections that reignite, no matter how much linear time and darkness has existed between meetings. And that reignite me in some way. And to not be afraid to follow those connections that aren't socially acceptable, and to not be afraid to embrace the trueness in me that's not socially acceptable. And a friend said to me, warned me against wasting my energy trying to control things outside of my control. Capitalism and all of its evils, and to recognize where my power lies, and to pour my energy there. I don't know if I will ever find enthusiasm again the way that he remembered it in me and called me to again. And I'm not sure that enthusiasm is what I'm being. I don't think that's what I'm being called to enter into. I think that I'm being called to enter into the nervousness and the fear and the pain and the suffering and the guilt and the incapableness, the inability, and the screams and the tears and everything that I've hidden. And I'm being called to stop hiding all that is in me and with me in front of other people, but to hold space. With not even a need for introduction, not even a need for words, but to let them be seen, to let me be seen, and to let those things work through me in the ways that they're meant to. And I don't know exactly what that will look like, but I'm gaining vision and I'm gaining direction, and I have a sense of what connections I'm meant to meet going forward, at least over the next couple months. And I can see where I'm needed, and I can see that I don't have energy to be where I'm needed. And that feels insurmountable. which I guess means I'm not meant to surmount it yet. I think that's all I'm gonna say. My tea's gone cold. I hope that you've enjoyed yours if you brewed yourself some. And thank you for being here and for listening. Take care.